Excuse me. Hello. Welcome to the Castle Super Beast News Network.
Your only source for the most trusted news about Combo Breaker.
The most trusted news, yes.
Reporting after a week abroad at Combo Breaker, reporting on the events there. How are you today, Mr. Madden?
Yes. No. I mean, it could have been live on the scene, but I was too busy.
You know what the funniest thing is? I was streaming yesterday, and Susie and Gene were in my chat, and I was like, "Yeah, Woolie went crazy when we called him a game journalist. It was wild." And Gene's like, he's at an FGC event right now.
Yeah.
Reporting, and he's going to talk about it on the podcast. That's a report.
As a human interest story. Yes. Yeah, I know. I saw that people were saying you're an anchor is what that is, or a reader, whatever. Like, so it's interesting because like the takeaways have pretty much just been like as the week has gone by that like, yeah, dude, you're nuts, and clearly you overthink, or you think too highly of what news actually is. And I think in reflection on that, I think what it is that I definitely hesitate to call myself that the news because of what I think news should be, I guess.
The platonic ideal.
Like when I think of what I think news should be and what I take it for, I'm like, I don't want that. I don't expect that and think that ought to be the, like, yes, you can have someone kind of giving like their flavor on an editorial or so or something, but it's like the idea of just whatever the fuck at random I think, hey, what's happening over there? I don't know, maybe this, and then I don't have the full story. And did you hear about that? I don't know. Here's maybe what I think about it. It might be wrong. Oh, turns out it was wrong. Okay, what's that? I think
the funniest part of all of that was you going like, but I don't even know about Kingdom Hearts on the Epic or whatever, right?
Sure.
And I saw a response that was like, does Woolie think IGN is a person?
Yeah, and it's not that part of it as much as it is just like, I'm just at random just grabbing. It's like when I saw someone say that like it's like the way I think about it is more of like a fan magazine, and I'm like, yeah. I identify with that because there's no expectations of that. There's no of that being done to any kind of standard or whatever. It's just someone who is interested in these things, grabbing those things and giving their opinion on it. And it's like, hey, you want to follow this magazine about this fanzine about a metal and the death metal scene? Here's what's going on. Here's some fun bands that you might want to check out. I went to a concert. It was really cool. And, you know, and just like that overall, like the vibe of the things you're interested in. And then also, here's a bunch of shit about my life, I guess, in general, to which there were some folks that were like, yeah, actually, I stopped listening because they just talk about their lives and I want the news. And I'm like, exactly. That I get.
It means you're a trusted source for news. You know. They're just getting past the fluff.
Yes. So also, no.
I think we uphold high standards here on the podcast. My personal standard for what comes out of my mouth is that I believed it when I said it.
That's what matters. That's what matters the most, you know? So if I make a punchline about the titles of Kingdom Hearts games and Toho games and such being nonsense because of the words, it's goofy shit we're going off of, regardless of how accurate and super important those titles might be because of my assumptions. Feelings.
I am actually going to take that specific point.
Feelings.
I'm going to take that specific point as an example, because when you said that, you were like, these are some wacky names and they're just like these wacky names. Isn't that silly?
Yeah, I didn't play any of those. Yeah.
And that doesn't like speak to you as good old-fashioned GARMS journalism.
Right.
But when you said that, and it took me a second to like find it in my head, and by the time I did, the podcast was over. Like, there were people who wrote for like Forbes magazine and like newspapers like 10 years ago going, when are we gonna be done with this archaic thing in video games called the boss fight?
Right.
They're just not any good. I don't understand. And that was treated like serious ass editorial shit, and it was garbage.
Like, all this is 3 to 5 hours of me trying to get to a title like stop me from burying your child, please don't bury my child. Like, that's all this is.
I know.
This is like the news and the things that happen are incidental to me coming up with shit like Patchwitz.
I feel
Aryan
like,
resurrection. That's all I'm trying to get to here.
I feel like there's two ways to go about somebody who's impostoring themselves out. You can go the first way, which is for positive, healthy people, which is, hey man, you do a great job, and you, despite all the jokes, you genuinely reach out and try and get all your ducks in a row, and you have done an excellent job over many years breaking down a wide variety of extremely complex topics, particularly with a occasionally insane and unreasonable co-host. Now that is the nice way to build somebody up, but that is not effective. Instead, let's go the other way. Wooly, news has never been more garbage, especially games journalism. It's trash. It is so bad. It has never been worse.
Right.
The idea that you are standing there going, I don't know, man.
What? Right. Wooly Al Gaib, yes. Yes, sure. Lisan Al Gaib. He says.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
No,
is that Dune shit?
Yeah. The guy in Dune where it's like where when Paul goes, I don't want this shit. I don't want it. He does that. He does the Jon Snow, and then the guy who believes super hard is just like, of course he doesn't want it. That makes him it even more so. Yeah. Lisan Al Gaib. He's the chosen one. It's great. But no, I think that's kind of what the deal is. It's just I'm like, okay, well, regardless of how garbage it might be, I'm like, what I think it ought to be is it's in my brain, because it's like, well, then if I think this is what it should be because this is how stupid this is, then if I call myself that, then you're almost a hypocrite for not being that. Does that, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
if I think it's stupid,
that is
then
like
the thing that
completely insane set of expectations. And take it from me, man with insane expectations.
It's that if it is stupid, the version of it that I think is good is something that I can't do. And therefore you're like, oh, you're qualifying by just standing there because the bar has never been lower, is wild. Because it's like, I guess, man, but you know, if I were to be like, I think it ought to be that, and then I'm going to call myself that, but I don't do the things I think it ought to be, then yeah, I'm a hypocrite, you know?
Wooly, you sound... Oh my God, is this what it feels like? Oh my God, this is what it feels like. This is the inverted Pat, you're doing art conversation. This is literally the same conversation in reverse, in which I'm going, but I can't take what's in my brain and do it perfect in one try. And you're going, but I have to reach the mythical standard of the thing or else it doesn't count.
It's not even...
It's like the opposite ends of the same thing.
Okay, perhaps my thoughts towards a mythical standard you might be thinking of as a pristine mountain on a hill with a journalist in the studio. It's not that. Thing. It's not that. But it is like, it's more than the bare minimum of research, which is what I think I do with what we talk about.
Wooly, I think you're gonna get lost in the weeds on this infinitely because no one's ever gonna be like, because you have like an internal, like, not spiritual, but you have like a vibe based objection that you're having trouble getting into words. So you're gonna mention a detail and someone's gonna like refute or discuss that detail, and you're gonna be like, but that's not 100%.
It is vibe based. It is very vibe based. Yeah, it is.
And it's just like.
Yeah.
Like Gene Park, friend of the show, is a real ass reporter and still comes into our streams
and is admittedly just some guy.
Genocide Mom of the Year, Annabelle.
Yes.
Comes into my Infinite Wealth stream like, oh, this is where I used to buy drugs.
I get, and I think I think it's something that it's the vibe. It is totally vibes based, but it's a vibe that has like been reinforced from time to time when a humongous story that I could not give less of a shit about, I just go, yeah, I have nothing to say about that. I don't care, right?
You seen that clip from Conan's show where he's talking to some old man? It's like makes a joke about Epstein Island.
Yes, yeah.
The guy
He's like,
goes, "You're talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
You mean Jeff Epstein, the financier? What happened? What? It was I remember that guy.
Yeah, man. That just happened.
He's got one of them brownstones, and then got a nice place over there. Yeah. What's going on with him? Jeff? Yes, exactly. Shit. Anyway, yeah. So no, that's kind of it. Is I suppose like I would be like. It would be a surprise to me if I again opened the newspaper or turned on the news and it was like, yeah, there's a huge story of something of importance, but we don't care about it, so we're just not really gonna go into that.
Hey, man, so
which actually, and here's the thing, granularity wise, that is super real, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Like I mean, I had to I remember finding out about anything relating to Yemen was like, oh, that's entirely not in mainstream news things. So there's a bunch of major important things that don't come up anyways, regardless. But vibes based, like COD Blop 6 is coming to Game Pass. I'm like, yeah, all right, man. I got nothing on that.
See, here's the thing. This is where it's perfect because both of us have we have some major overlap.
Yeah.
But I'm obsessed with following all this shit. So you don't need to actually know half of it. But I missed a ton of stuff. Like fucking 9/11's going to be in the COD Blops, Wooly. You're not, man. Even if you don't hear about it now, you're definitely going to hear about it in a couple of fucking months.
Sure, I guess. I have minus one thought on anything relating to that.
I kind of walked away from the point I was making myself, but getting trapped in the weeds, right? So the specific detail that I would point out is Wooly says doing more than the bare minimum of research. The bare minimum of research. This is something I tell Paige all the time, where she'll be like, "Well, it was the least I can do." Right? It was she'll be helping somebody out or getting them a pizza when she goes over to somebody's house, something like that, right? She's like, "Well, it's the least I could do." I'm like, "No, the least you can do is literally nothing." So the bare minimum level of research is grabbing a headline and that's it.
Okay.
Not even reading the fucking text.
Okay. I accept your counter vibes based proposal with one condition.
All right, let's hear it.
The next time you lean into the mic and you go, "What do you mean, dude? It's your job." You hold that same energy.
I will. Okay. Yeah. I don't. What's the last time I did that?
I don't know. Over something, right? So you're like, "What do you mean you don't know?
Will look it up.
That's your job, right?" Like the next time that sentence is about to be uttered, keep the same energy for a sec and realize I'm like, yeah, I guess if I give a fuck, but if I don't, I don't know.
Someone in the chat points out the actual least you could do is to have a robot scrape other people's articles and just rewrite it.
Yes. True. But that's anything that pertains. It was a Bethesda, perhaps it was, but
maybe it was. Oh yeah, you hadn't played Skyrim or something like that.
Or stuff like that. So whenever that comes about, it's like, yeah, man, I'm giving you the vibes of what I think is kind of cool. And that's
now if you were looking at me and be like, I don't know what this fighting game is, I've never heard of it, then I would be astonished.
Sure. Eyebrow raised. Absolutely.
But yeah, the differing of you can't possibly know everything. But I remember when you possibly 15 years ago you used to follow GameSpot and there'd be the guy who reviewed fighting games, and there'd be the guy who reviewed every sports game and racing game, and the guy who did horror, and there was always a different person specific to each particular genre. You are already multidisciplinary than the journo of old.
The correspondent, again, yes, and the human interest story. Guys, turns out kites are pretty fun, actually. They are fun. I'm here on the street with some people flying kites. What do you think? Wow. Yeah. Anyways, all right. Well,
But are you in the pocket of Big Kite?
I would love to be. If you've got a fucking kite sponsorship, run that shit by me. I'm all ears.